Hello everyone, thank you for joining to my channel. Please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel, and please do not miss the subsequent tutorials. Today I'm going to introduce you the supervised learning part 1. First we will discuss about the problem setup, then we will introduce the feature types. What is the problem setup in this context? Let's consider we have a set of objects which we denoted as capital X. Then on the other hand, we have a set of targets which we denoted as capital Y. And we know that there is a true dependency between the objects and the target. And this type of mapping we considered as f of x, which is unknown. And this type of functions even can be a nature of the stochastic. By given x, we can receive a unique target for each object. In this type of setup, we need also to introduce the data set. The data set capital D is a pair of objects and target. And the number of objects can be for a different number, right? For example, from 1 to n. And each of these targets comes from this true mapping. And the goal of this task is to approximate the function f by given dataset x, which we can recover the target by this approximate f when we have our object. Some example about the supervised task. The first very famous and the first example is the iris dataset, which is one of the famous and the earliest dataset for deriving some statistical methods. The object for this dataset is the individual flower, which describes the sepal and petal lengths and widths. And the target of this flower is the species of this flower. There are 3 species. And the mapping is different lengths for sepals and petals, and different widths correspond to different types of species here. Another example for supervised learning task can be spam filtering. And the object here is an email, which is a sequence of characters and words. And the target here is to define if the email is a spam or not a spam. As a last example, I can introduce the captcha recognition, how to make the automated captcha recognition. Definitely, most of you are familiar with this type of task. When we enter to website to define if we are a bot or human, there will be a captcha that we have to define the letters. So here the object is the image or pixels of specific letters, and on the other hand, the target would be a sequence of these characters. Let's define the features. Earlier, by denoting a small x subindex I, we defined this is as an object. If we want to add a number of features, we need another component, xij. The j would be the feature or the number of feature for an object. So if we define a vector of x of I, which is xi1, xi2, to xjid, xid, it would be a d dimension of features. And most of the algorithms require to have a fixed dimension of features, or D, to our data set. By considering several objects and several features, we can define a design matrix, which we needed through this course, which is defined by capital X. And it's a 2D matrix. The number of rows shows the different number of objects when we move along the vertical axis from top to bottom. And along the y-axis in a horizontal, from left to right, horizontal line, it would be different features. For example, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3 for x1, which is, for example, like the first line would be one of the species of the flower, which has 4 different values for its sepal and petal lengths. And even it can be an information of a students in a class. For example, each row can be information of a student, and each column can be different types of feature. For example, name of a student, the grade for a specific course, the ID of a student, the phone number, and so on. Here is the design metrics for the iris dataset, which is a screenshot from the dataset itself. You can see we have 4 columns, which are the measures in centimeters for sepal and petal lengths and widths. And each object, each different flower can be denoted as each line in this dataset. There are different types of features, definitely, and the most common one is a numerical feature or numeric feature. As an example, for example, we already saw the sepal lengths. And then if we are going to talk about the measurement of the building, or we talk about some data set which represents a building, it can be height of a building, temperature, price, age, and etc. Everything which can be defined by numeric values. Another type of features is a categorical features, which has 2 subcategories. One of them is the nominal feature. As a very clear example of nominal feature is color, for example, red, green, and blue, which has no order or has no magnitude. We cannot say, for example, color green is 2 times or 10 times bigger than color black. And also another example can be the city of birth of a person, and also the name of a person. The person name can be Oleg, Anna, Alex, and so on. Another type of categorical feature is not ordinal feature. The ordinal feature has some comparison between 2 values, but there is no exact pairwise differences. For example, some of these type of feature can be the level of education. The person might have bachelor or master or PhD. We know that PhD is higher than master and bachelor, and master is higher than bachelor, but we cannot say how much it is big. It cannot be measured. And another type of this feature can be age category, child, teenage, and adult. Also the title of or position of teachers at the university. The person can be lecturer, senior lecturer, associate professor, and professor, which has some hierarchy, but it doesn't have a different magnitude. You cannot compare them. The binary feature also is widely used in feature types in our data set, and it is one of the subcategory of the categorical feature, which has only 2 values, true or false. And we can also convert it into the numerical values. For example, one can be denoted as 0, another 1, or -1 and +1. But the more common one is 0 to false and 1 to true. Most of the algorithms, they work only with numerical values. So there should be some sort of way to convert categorical features into numeric. One of the assumption or one of the strategy can be denote a single number to each of these category. Let's make a clear example. Let's say I have several colors, red, green, and blue. Someone might say, okay, let's define red as 0 and green as 1, blue as 2. This is one of the way that you can define it because you converted some categories into numeric. But there would be a problem in this sort of setup because we are adding some information into the data set which is not correct. And for many algorithms in this type of task, it would be problematic because there are a lot of algorithms, they consider the differences between 2 values. And in this case, the differences between red and green would be only 1, but the difference between red and blue would be 2. Which is not correct, and this brings some wrong dependency and relation between these categorical features. Another smarter way would be one-hot encoding, what we do in this sort of setup. Let's say I have a column categorical feature as color. I have 2 reds, 2 blue, and 1 green. For each of these category, I add new column. Let's say the first column is blue, the second is red, the third one is green or not. And if this category appear into each of this column, I put 1 and I put 0 for the other categories. For green, the last one is 1 and the other two are 0. And two things are important here. I would like to highlight it. First of all, in this sort of encoding, it would be sometimes problematic if you have too many different categories. Let's say instead of having only 3 colors, I would have 100 different color names, for example. And in this case, what should I do? I should add 100 new columns to my data set, which can bring some dimensionality problem. And another thing I would like to highlight here is I have 3 categories. I added 3 columns. It is possible to eliminate one of these columns. Why? Because I can infer, I can understand the value or the existence of this category by considering, for example, 2, 0 here. So when there are 2, 0, there would be another category. I do not recommend you to remove it after encoding your data set or feature, a categorical feature into one-hot encoding. It is a matter of practice. Maybe in your data set, it would be redundant to have 1 extra column. You may even remove it to test if it works better or not. Or sometimes for some algorithm in your task, it would be better to keep this column to give more clear representation of your data set to your algorithm. So there would be also a trick for encoding the ordinal features, because what I said, the ordinal feature has some hierarchy, but we cannot define the magnitude between them. In this case, let's consider I have a column of academic degree as my feature. The first one has no academic degree. The second, third, fourth, and fifth person has bachelor, master, PhD, master. And in this case, I would be able to add these 3 columns again: is bachelor, is master, is PhD. And if a person is none, I put 0 for all of them. If a person has bachelor, I put 1 for a bachelor column and 0 for other columns. If the person has master, the bachelor and master are 1, the last one is 0. And if a person has PhD, supposed to have these 3 of them. So I don't have any sort of magnitude, for example, comparing bachelor and master and bachelor and PhD, but I could represent it in a correct way to numbers instead of having the categories. There are some more advanced encoding techniques, which you can find it from scikit-learn. Feel free to visit this website and see what are the other categorical features which can be helpful for your data set. So thank you so much for listening to the end of this part of the lecture. And in the next lecture, I would discuss about the part 2 of Introduction into Supervised Learning.